What's cracking, lacking, folks? You're now listening to Sport and Convos with Eddie and Mike. It's me, Mike, and I'm here with my guy.
Greetings, Eddie, as usual.
And we have a lot to talk about this week. Definitely going to talk about the Commanders' victory out in LA over the Chargers, preview the Bears game on Monday night. We're going to follow that up with some talk about Philly, who's playing right now. They're down 17-20 to the Giants as we start our episode. We'll talk about them. Game of the week, Bengals at Packers. Kind of unique game of the week, I would say, but it's something to talk about there. There's definitely stuff to talk about when it comes to Mark Sanchez, like ridiculous events last weekend. And then we'll end the fun segment about football and our parents. We'll explain that later. But what's cracking, bro? How are you feeling, man?
Doing all right, kind of in that like sort of exhausted, but then like feeling a sense of accomplishment as far as just, holding the household down, buying groceries, trying to like stay on top of exercising so I can stay healthy, maybe be around a few extra years, if you will. So yeah, just exhausted, probably like most parents are, from all the adulting and whatnot. Boring stuff. Might go to Home Depot on Saturday. I don't know.
Nah, I hear that. And for folks, I think a lot of folks know that I'm a federal employee, and we're in the midst of a shutdown. I think we're in day 8 now. I am one of the few that are essential, so I'm still working during the shutdown. But hey, we are not getting paid for this. It really is a unfortunate situation. We really don't do politics on this show like that, so I'm not going to get into the particulars.
Mike, let me stop you. Listen, I know this is going to sound a little cringe, as the kids say, and I ain't saying like my man's hurting, but at the same time, like y'all might go ahead and put the Cash App. You can wherever I'm pointing here at the screen. Look, if everybody listens to this show, which is about like 20 people, if they just all give about $1 to $5, you know what I'm saying?
Don't listen to them, y'all.
Yeah,
I am
real. Like
I will be fine.
Bogus.
The Lord will bless me.
Like not to do that. I mean, I'd more than appreciate if it was the other way around and you were doing that. Just throwing that out there. But no, that's just completely bogus, because how you like, good and well all the conservatives, right? I mean, shoot, actually both sides. If that, who's working for free? And I get you, they'll pay you back or whatever else, but who's really working for free? But then they're gonna make you do it. Like, honestly, I hate to do it like that, but I just think it's a bunch of foolishness. Like, that's just
honestly though. I'll end it with this. Like I said, I'm okay. We'll be relatively okay. I'm not really concerned about me. I'm concerned more about the services that will be neglected during the federal government shutdown. There's a lot of contractors that will be affected during this federal government shutdown. Citizens that need these services will be heavily affected during the shutdown.
Man, look at
so. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the particulars on the situation because I legally can't. But at the end of the day, like just pray for the country, man. Pray for your citizens, and just look out for the cookout if you're able to, for anyone that's struggling, whether it's during the shutdown or outside the shutdown. And that's why I'm okay. I'm blessed because, like I said, the Lord, He'll deliver. He'll help me. And I help folks, and I know He'll give back what I put out. And like I said, just look out for the cookout. That's why I preach the golden rules so much when it comes to my faith and my walk, that Christ said, treat others the way you would want to be treated. And that's why, because you never know when you'll be in tough situations. And it's just good to look out for the cookout regardless of any situation, because Not only does Christ ask us to do it, but it's just the right thing to do, man. Like, it's the right thing to do.
What a guy. So yeah. Well said, Mike. Well said on every level. Didn't mean to take it to a weird spot, but
Nah, you're good.
I just think that's just complete foolishness.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a lot of foolishness going on. But y'all didn't come here to talk about politics and whatnot.
That is correct.
Great outing by Jayden Daniels and the offense and the rest of the Commanders on Sunday versus LA. They really shut me up. They went down 10-0 to the Chargers, and I really thought like the route was about to be on. They
You
had
and
the
everybody
ball.
else. We all
They
saw
had
that.
the ball. They were driving, and I really feel like Quan Martin, Quan Martin made a very
Yep.
season-altering turnover in the second quarter, or was it the first quarter? Maybe it was the second quarter versus the Chargers when he forced a fumble on Quentin Johnson in the red zone that was recovered by Marshawn Lattimore. And after that play, you could say the route was on, man. Washington finished the game scoring 27 unanswered points. Jayden Daniels looked like Jayden Daniels. And I think we had a breakout game for Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, aka Bill Williams. Like, nah. Bill had 150 combined yards, all-purpose yards, I should say, on Sunday with 2 rushing touchdowns, man. And yeah, he really did his thing. I am very excited for the future of this Commanders offense, man. So I'll just ask you, Eddie, what jump start did you see once things got rolling? What was besides the turnover, what was something else that you saw that kind of like sparked Washington to go on to have the game that they did on Sunday afternoon?
I'd say it was Bill and the O line, and it was we did some of that moving part stuff that we kind of like to do, kind of
Mm-hmm.
guys moving around pre snap. But I thought the O line, especially when it came to running the ball, Jayden was Jayden. I keep thinking of just like him and that smile and the way he plays, and like the fact that went to LA, had that bad outing, and then insert whatever Jay-Z song you want, but where you boy is back. You know what I mean? Like that's all I can think of because it wasn't looking good to start off, and it was in the second quarter when that fumble happened. And you're absolutely right. Back in the day when I played soccer, like it was like that kind of soccer where like, yeah, people nobody likes losing, but like this was like for people to have fun. It wasn't people who trained and whatever. We were little kids. We were third, fourth grade, whatever. So many times back then in those games, whoever scored first typically won because the minute the goal was scored, it was like this big letdown. And everybody just kind of like gave up from there, even if it happened in like the first quarter and there's 4 quarters to a game, just like football. Back in that, like real soccer, it's halves. But anyway, it's the same thing. The minute Cam Martin punched that ball out, and I got to be honest, bro, if you watch Amos comes over and it was like a bunch of piranhas. Like they just all went after it. Lattimore happened to be there, like something positive for that guy. I'm praying because he's going to be with us. I don't want him to get hurt. It's just like a pilot flying a plane, right? I don't want even I don't like him, but I don't want him crashing the plane that I happen to be on. Um, and so Lattimore being right there in good position, jumping on the ball, getting the recovery, I think that's good. Hopefully that boosts his morale and everything. But it absolutely deflated the Chargers. You are so correct. But I noticed they went from kind of and maybe this is a shout out to Cliff too in a roundabout way. It not not disrespecting him either, but if you notice, like they kind of were in our backfield, like almost from the moment we hiked the ball early on in that game. Those first couple drives, we weren't looking good, and it was like hike, boom, they're already there. All of a sudden, we're hitting blocks. Krosky Merritt is doing his thing. Jayden with the 100-yard plus passing and rushing game, amazing, living up to it. I thought Deron Payne continued to ball out as per usual. Mikey Sanders still. I think he miss an earlier interception? I'm trying to remember here. I think earlier in the game he might have had a gimme, or it might have been a PI. He had something where that INT was a little bit of a redeemer. I just can't remember for what right now off the top of my head.
I am misremembering. I cannot remember.
Gotcha. But still, and you know what's crazy? My brother, who was sitting right next to me on this couch when we were watching the game, I called it. I was like, here we go, interception. I called that play. And it now, for context, I didn't sit there and say, here we go, interception every play. I will occasionally do that from time to time. I'll go pick six or play action bomb to this guy. I'll do those predictions, but it's not every play, every snap.
Okay, hold on real quick. I
Holding
gotta not interject, but so first of all, I'm never wearing an Apple Watch during a Commanders game ever again,
okay.
because the notifications just kept popping up. But
Interesting.
one of those notifications was my man Drew telling me, saying in the Discord that Mikey caught an interception, a tip interception.
Hadn't
But
happened.
I was watching it over my sister's house during my niece's birthday party, and we had paused the game for a little bit. So we were about a good 2 minutes behind, maybe, or maybe less than that, or I assumed less than that. So I'm waiting for the interception because, like, I'm like, all right, it's been like 5 plays now. Like, where's this interception coming?
What's happening?
So I just like, I was talking to myself, but I blurted out loud while we were watching the game, "Where's Mikey?" And it just so happened that that was the play before the interception, or the play. It was during the interception, or that happened when I asked, "Where's Mikey?" The next play was the interception.
Yeah.
So I'm like, everybody was like, "Oh, you called it, you called it," and I was like, "Oh, I gotta let them finish celebrating before I break this news to them and tell them, like, yeah, I knew like 2 minutes ago that this was about to happen." But I'm sorry, I just had to get that story out real
You
quick.
blew it, Mike. You had a chance there to come out looking like the man. I did not know that was gonna happen. I just simply it was more of a hopeful prediction, if we're being honest here. Uh, but I mean, what a great win. Go into to LA. I don't know why I stuttered there. And especially Herbert breaking off that run early. They like that whole drive, it just was not looking great. And then that fumble happened, and literally we became a different team. It wasn't just what happened with the Chargers. It was us as well. Like, and I know Hampton going down definitely hurt him, but like all of a sudden, whereas Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson were just running around just wild and free, all of
Hmm.
a sudden they were dropping stuff. All of a sudden, like those bounces just stopped bouncing. Like everything just started working out for us. I will say this, and it worries me. Don't get me wrong, dude's been balling since he came here. We saw what Jayden Daniels can do, and I'll continue to have faith in him. And I love this whole like let's just go out there and dance and have fun and we'll score touchdowns and blah blah blah. There's some footage of him and Debo talking about how they're going to celebrate before they scored that fourth quarter. And on one end, I'm just like, oh well, that's great, and the team's involved, but uh, let's focus on getting the touchdown first, guys, and then
My goodness,
uh,
I could see if they didn't score, bro, but they scored.
well, I know,
Like,
but is that going to happen every time?
no, I'm just
Exactly. So
saying, like,
I'd like there to
they're
be
up
more focus
10.
on
They're up
scoring
10.
touchdowns
It's
and
late in
celebrating.
the game. Like, even if they didn't get it, like, chances are the game was still gonna um, be in their favor. Like, they were still gonna win the game. But I mean, let's face it, bro. We've been the laughing stock of the league for like my entire life. It feels like
Yeah.
something like that happening and us pulling it off. Hey, I'm gonna let Cosby guys like y'all cook that. I can't. If y'all scored a touchdown, so what can I say? Y'all cook that hoe. They hit the little. I would have did it with him if I was in a huddle. Like, but nah, solid when the defense they did their thing. It was nice to see a little bit of Jordan McGee. He played 12 plays. A lot of people talked about it on social media. They posted the clips of the 12 plays. So, like, he looked good in that game. Shout out to Mike Sanchez with an interception. Quan Martin with the forced turnover. But you know who really, really did their thing Sunday, bro?
Who really did?
My nephew's favorite player, that man, Johnny Fig Newton. My goodness. He was the one that tipped the pass on Mikey's interception that helped get the turnover for Washington. He was also generating pressures. I think he got the half sack. Like the man, that three-headed monster at DT is going exactly how we thought it could go.
It's gonna be a problem, huh?
With Javon Kinlaw, my man Deron Payne, and now Johnny Newton. And don't forget, Eddie Goldman is still there. Shout out to the Collegiate Knights.
He made a play or two.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a three-headed monster with a sidearm. Speaking of a monster, my goodness, Cam Scatterbo. That man, oof. But I digress. So yeah, the defense, they did their thing. I still think the coverage is a bit shaky, suspect. And that's going to be a problem on Monday night, I feel like, versus Chicago. The Bears, they're coming to Washington, D.C., DMV, Northwest Field. I think that's exit. Well, I'm not going to say what exit. There's multiple exits. You can hit Central Avenue. You can hit Landover. You can hit 50 to get to the stadium. So who cares? They're 2-2. The Bears are 2-2. They're coming off of 2 straight victories. And I think the way they can beat Washington is to attack their passing secondary, the defensive secondary, I'm sorry, because I feel like that's the weakness, the one weakness that Washington has right now, and it just so happens to be Chicago's strength. So let me ask you, am I correct in saying that Washington's defense, the secondary versus the Bears passing game is the matchup that's going to define this game? Or do you think there's another matchup that Chicago can take advantage of, or throw a matchup that Washington can take advantage of?
I'll be honest, I haven't really done a lot of scouting on Chicago as much. I do know from just those little blurbs, like when the highlights and things of that nature, with Caleb Williams staying in the pocket more and not kind of just running around off script. So I think our DBs can win. I will say we can't sleep, but Dunze, good sized target, Luther Head, younger guy. So and then is Zacchaeus there? Is he in Chicago? I thought so. So they got some guys that can make some plays for sure, but I think we can win. I don't think that's going to be as much a strength for them as they think. And then because their run game I think is kind of meh. So I think if we can make it to where we know they're passing, and the way we like to kind of rotate guys, keeping fresh bodies in there, especially on that front line, I think that could be beneficiary for us because we're now that team where guys want to come and, like a Von Miller, like guys want to show up and actually try to help and contribute, because it's not just good for them, it's good for the team. Everybody wins kind of thing. They pad their stats, maybe get a little bit more on contract escalators. Yeah. So I think they're coming in, obviously, because of what happened last time, the Hail Mary and all that. And they're trying to be a new team. Caleb Williams is, kind of trying to prove that he is a worthy number one pick. He's got the new coach. He didn't agree with the coach he had. Ben Johnson with the offensive wizardry. That kind of is one of the things that does worry me, is because they do have talent. And then with Ben Johnson, like, what kind of nonsense might they pull on us? But then I think with us being an older team, I think I would hope that we'd be prepared between just all the changes being made, having a better coaching staff, owner not meddling. I will say, and I heard this on the Sports Junkies, and I kind of thought it's a pretty accurate statement. I love my man Frankie Louvu, but it wasn't just him. On Sunday there was a lot of mistag, a lot of tackles being broken or just not wrapping up, and it's just frustrating. But maybe kind of start to design a defense where you can kind of let Louvu just float around. I mean, he flies to the ball. It's not like he's just going to be out there without a clue or anything. You know what I mean? I'm not saying just put the guy in space and just let him roam, but at the same time, kind of design it for, let him pin his ears back, run after the quarterback a little bit more. I think it would be beneficiary to the team. But I'm also not a coach of any kind, and there's probably a variety of reasons for that.
So 2 things. I watched Joe Witt's press conference this afternoon, and someone asked a question on how can the team improve their tackling during the season or whatever. And Witt responded by saying that one of the reasons they're struggling with tackling is because they're trying to they're not having a plan when they're attacking the runner. They're using their speed to get to the runner, but they have no plan. So when they get there, they're either not wrapping up or they're trying to arm tackle, and they're missing it. And he said it's basically that simple, and that's something that they've been working with in practice. That it was another thing that you mentioned that they talked about in the press conference, but I lost my thought.
Wizardry. Trick plays.
I think it was that, but I feel like it was something else after that. But they did mention that as well, and that's something that they will have to be prepared for, definitely. And I feel like they're going to throw something out there for sure. Like, it's Ben Johnson. That's what he does. They scored on us last season in the playoffs with a trick play to Jameson Williams, who just a term I haven't said in a while. He got giggly on us. Like, he really got giggly. Got the feet on us on that end around, and
interesting.
That was that simple. It was just a simple trick play. It wasn't even nothing extravagant. And he's going to want to show out on Monday night. He's going to want to do the daggone thing. And I say look out for it. But what they need to look out for is Washington's running game, because they're not good against the run. According to team rankings, I believe they're 30th in total rushing yards per game. They're like, it's just simple. Their weakness falls into Washington's strength. What is Washington? Washington is the number 1 ranked rushing team in the league right now. They don't play when it comes to running the ball, and it's not just. I'm sorry. The Bears are actually 31st in rushing defense at 164 yards per game. And it's not just Jayden Daniels that they have to worry about now. Crosby Merritt, just like I said earlier when it came to the defensive tackles, and they're doing what we expected them to do. Crosby Merritt, man, he had a breakout game against a pretty decent Russian defense in the Chargers. And I'm just saying, like, this could be back-to-back 100 rushing yard games for him, all things considered, because not only is he's running the ball well, but the offensive line is cooking. The tight ends are even blocking well. The offensive line cooking so much that they're adding a 6-man on plays a lot of times. And there's not even goal line. This is middle of the field. They're running the ball down these teams' throats. So you combine that with Jayden Daniels. He's the pass he threw to McCaffrey, top 10 best Redskins pass I ever seen in my life. That 50-yard was a dot. He could not have handed it to him better than that. So, like, I'd say Washington is doing pretty well offensively right now. And, yeah, I think that game in Green Bay kind of lit a fire under them because they haven't, I don't believe they scored under 27 since then. So,
yeah, I think they kind of figured a few things out. And, sometimes that happens. That's why I was, everybody with the criticism early on with that loss. I get it. Jayden got dinged up there and we look stagnant. We look flat. We talked about all that. Yeah, Tom Brady agrees with you as well on Krosky Merritt. He got the whatever that title is. It's like the BM.
LFG.
Yeah, LFG. There we go.
And it's a phrase that I say a lot. I might have even got it from Brady. I don't think I did. I feel like it's something I've been saying my entire life. But I feel like Brady definitely enhanced this meaning, and he used an enhanced word in the term. That's what the F is for. But yeah, let's go, man. Krosky Merritt versus theirs, and let's end this segment with our weekly prediction, bro. I think you went first last. No, I went first last week. So no, you did go first last week.
Okay,
I'm going first this week.
go
I'm
right ahead.
making the prediction first, and
Go
I'm
right ahead.
predicting that Washington, they're going to take care of business, man. I just feel like they're the better team overall, talent wise. They're the better team coaching wise. They're at home. It's prime time. I'm not going to expect a rout. I'm gonna stick with the Mike from Southwest special. 24-10. 24-20. My apologies, 24-20. And I think they cover. They win at home. Jayden Daniels looks sharp. Krosky Merritt, he runs a strong game. Might not get 100, but he's going to get close to it. And the defense does just enough. They don't force any turnovers, but they get a couple of key third down stops, a key fourth down stops, and take care of Chicago and get these Mammoths up out of here.
35-17, Washington.
That's it.
What do you want me to say? Jayden balled out without Terry or Noah Brown. I don't think Terry's going to play this upcoming game, but
Me either.
he's getting a lot closer. I think they're going to use the run to their advantage. I think you might even see perhaps one or two design runs for Jayden as well. But I think they're going to use that. They're going to, perfect world scenario, but I do think this will happen. They're going to run early and have success, and then that's going to open up that play action. Like I said, there's a lot of pre-snap movement. Next thing you know, you got Debo and Ertz involved. They do a good job of just spreading the ball around. So, yeah, we're at home. I think to a degree, you're going to see Chicago and Caleb Williams. Not to extend this terribly long, but there's that whole thing. They're 1-2, and not that Caleb Williams stays up at night like, oh, Jayden Daniels was picked second, and I was picked first, and he's doing better than me right now. But I think sometimes things like that creep into his mind. He's probably looking at everybody else in his draft class. How are they doing compared to me? Right? Looking at Bo Nix, looking at I don't know who the other draft picks quarterback wise are in his class, but he's looking at those guys and wondering. Drake May, he's looking at Drake May and wondering. So I think they'll be pressing a little bit. That's why I was kind of going with that. I think he's going to be pressing a little bit, and I think we're feeling good about ourselves. We that was a big victory in LA. Now we're home. They got to travel to us. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I know
I
it's not like a huge trip from Chicago to, Northwest Stadium, but
it's about a 7-hour drive. A decent trip.
I would imagine they're flying, but still.
Yeah, that's why I said driving first, bro. Because if it was a 7-hour drive, it's a like 2.5-hour flight, maybe. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe less than that. I don't know. But
What,
anyway,
Shay?
that's Eddie and Mike's prediction for the Commanders versus the Bears. We'll holler at y'all next week with another prediction. But let's get on to the next topic.
Indeed.
We planned this before the game started, so I don't want anyone coming on and being like, "Oh, y'all only talk about this because the Eagles were losers or they lost or this or
Uh-uh.
that." But
Uh-uh. Yesterday.
currently, they're down. The Eagles are down to the Giants right now in the third quarter with about 4:30 left, 27-17. Eddie wanted to talk about if it was trouble in Philly concerning Hurts and A.J. Brown. And I'll say this: Hurts actually is having a pretty decent game. He's 15 for 21, 178 yards, one touchdown. Um, AJ Brown, welcome to the 2025 season, I guess. He has 5 catches for 73 yards. But it's kind of looking like Philly is playing exactly into what everybody has been saying about them when it comes to their success. Um, it wasn't as stable as they thought it was. Like they caught a ton of breaks last season, a ton of breaks. The
Yep.
biggest being that the Giants gifted them an offensive player of the year, the one piece that they needed in order to honestly in order to prevent Washington from winning the Super Bowl last season.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Like that's the key that they needed. It was the one thing that Washington could not stop what that Philly had last year. And the Giants are doing a great job. Even though Hurts is playing a pretty decent game, he's probably going to finish with over 200 yards and a couple of touchdowns. But at the end of the day, Barkley is the reason that that the Eagles did what they did. But just sticking on the subject of AJ Brown and Hurts, um, like what made you think that there were problems on the horizon, even though that the Eagles were 4-0 entering last week? You still were like one of the ones that were like, I wouldn't say saying that they were trash, but you were saying that things weren't right, like something was off.
It definitely is. There's a play in the Denver game where I think it's a little bit of trust, and it's that whole thing. We talked about this with Jalen Hurts. I agree. He's having a good game. His timing is going well. They're doing a good job of getting A.J. Brown the ball. He did get that one catch overturned on the sideline, which like that was pretty tough. He did a good job. He just couldn't get that other toe down. But anyway, there are throws that Hurts is not as great at making. Like that's one of the things they do in the NFL. Like it's not the best example, but like look at what the Shanahans did with RG3. They developed a whole game plan around his strength around running the ball, and there were passes at times. And when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, he can play quarterback, but it's not this thing where you can insert any pro into any quarterback for that matter, since we're talking about quarterbacks, and they can just make all those throws. They can't. Their offensive game plan is designed around the throws they can make. And where I'm getting at is there's a lot of throws that if you had a different quarterback that could get AJ Brown the ball the way he wants, he would show a lot more success. And I think there's a certain level of frustration there. Now, obviously, hey, they just won the Super Bowl. He's still putting up good numbers, but it's so inconsistent. And there are times where the ball's in the dirt or it's thrown too high or it's just not a good throw. And I think not that there's friction, but just a level of frustration, especially when you hear the coach saying like he made some sort of comment like AJ still wants to be here, and like nobody asked him that. They were asking if he's frustrated. He's like, yeah, he still wants to be here. It's like, wait, what? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that was a little telling for me as well. But I'm going back to that Denver play. It was sort of like a double move kind of thing. And he had his guy beat. And then the ball was thrown, and you can see him slow down. It ends up being an incompletion. He didn't get to it. He slows down because he doesn't think Hurts is going to make that throw. One, because of the throws he is and isn't capable of making. Two, because if I'm being honest here, the Eagles do best when Jalen Hurts runs the ball. And I think Jalen Hurts has been kind of I've said this before, it's like a Tebow kind of thing where he's trying to prove to everybody like I can play in this league. And he is that Tebow version, whereas Tim Tebow, it didn't work. Jalen Hurts is so much better than him. And we're seeing it. We're seeing the Eagles kind of design their whole play around his style with that. They're doing a lot more running. It's almost like, remember what the Cowboys did right before Dak came in with Tony Romo? They're like, hey, look, you're not throwing the ball anymore. We're going to hand the ball to DeMarco Murray. We're going to ride this nice O-line we built. And they had a lot of success. This is similar, if you ask me, a much better built team offensively as far as weapons go, but they're not asking him to throw a lot. They're asking him to run a lot. And when I see A.J. Brown do things like that, and if I'm being honest, I'm reaching a little on this one. Look at that Hail Mary. Kind of looked like he tried to break it up. Devontae Smith had the ball. Devontae Smith's right in front of him.
He's not purposely doing it, bro. He's just attacking the ball. And we have the benefit of, not the benefit of the doubt, but we have replays and slow it down and things like that. But the moment was actually like
no way he didn't know.
a tenth of a second. Like, it was too fast for him to be like, he's catching it, I'm going to knock it out of his hand.
No, I think he was trying to catch it instead of letting his teammate catch it.
No, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was just a happenstance.
No, I don't think he was trying to knock it out, but I think what I'm saying is him trying to go for it instead of like, Mike, if I know this is going to sound so weird, but if we're in line at a fast food place to the point where my chest is on your back, and when I put my arms like this, they're touching your elbows and everything, like, I don't know how I don't know that you're there. And it wasn't a Giants player. It was, excuse me, they're playing the Giants now. It wasn't a Broncos player. But what
how
I'll say,
would he know? How would he know that it was Devontae Smith and that it was a Giants player behind him?
Broncos. Devontae Smith was in front of him. Devontae Smith was.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Anywho, on the flip side of this, and I think this is sort of like, I'm not saying A.J. Brown's doing this. I think in a way he is, but like, don't get me wrong, like, to simplify this, he's trying to catch the ball and he's trying to show people he's good at catching the ball. They played Pat Surtain and he had like 5 or 6 different times where with Pat Surtain guarding him, the guy who was defensive player of the year last year, he still was making those catches. He wasn't wide open. He was still making some of those catches, some of those short intermediate routes. He was making those catches. But what I'm saying is there's a distrust there. I would not liken A.J. Brown anything close to T.O. as far as like that diva mentality. But at the same time, it kind of becomes this thing like, hey, look, you guys are paying me all this. I'm competitive. Like, I definitely can help the team win. Like, let me help the team win. And it just seems like they kind of get away from that. But when you've also got Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, as well as the best O-line in football and Saquon Barkley, that becomes like the challenge. It's a good problem to have. I think most coaches would love to have it. But, such is life. Like, and they just won. But what I'll say, I think that's going to complicate this is you notice, I don't think Landon Dickerson is playing. I'm pretty sure he's out. He's there. I believe their guard or their tackle on the left side. Oh, Jackson Dart's hurt. I'm a little behind on you, by the
Oh,
way.
you must be way behind.
Yeah.
No, keep going. We're going. I got you. Keep
But
going.
anyway, so I don't think Dickerson's playing. I know Jalen Carter's not playing. I saw earlier Blankenship was a little banged up, but I think he's still playing. But as these injuries mount up, like it's going to get pretty tough, and then that sort of issue could become a lot bigger. It could fester because they're trying to defend they're trying to defend the championship. I guess I don't know. Is that the right word?
Nah, I got you. So this Eagles segment has now become a Giants segment.
Okay.
Um,
We're going to talk about Brian Daboll still waiting for Malik Neighbors to high five him. Is that where?
nah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm actually like watching this game, and I'm like really impressed with how the Giants are playing. And right on cue,
Russell Wilson.
Jackson Dart. No, Jackson Dart gets hurt. I don't know if it's an ankle or a knee or I don't know what it is, but he's hurt. He's in the blue tent right now, which is like arguably one of the best inventions the NFL has ever came up with, or whoever came up with it if it was in another league first. But yeah, the NFL, I mean, that little blue tent, the way it pops up, very great invention. Nevertheless, Russ came in like he's over there like preparing like he's about to come in and cook or whatever, and just throws a worm killer on 3rd and 9. Like just retire already, bro. But yeah, the Giants were looking pretty nice, and now that Dart is gone, I don't know. Like it can get ugly for them this season if he's out for the rest of the year or a couple of weeks or whatever. It doesn't look like it's that bad, but I don't hear anything happening on the commentary. And Brian Dable is like arguing with the team doctor right now for whatever reason. It looks really awkward and weird. But yeah, Dart is injured, but the Giants are up 10 and entering the fourth quarter. And yeah, we'll probably be done with the show before the game ends. So
I'm sure you're seeing this, but Cam Scatabo has entered the tent.
yeah,
Hold on, let me see what's going on in here. What do you got there? Where's
like
your
what are you doing? Dart is on the sideline and he's drinking Gatorade, so the Bama might be going back in next drive.
What color Gatorade?
I can't tell. It's a
messing around.
Moving on, we got 2 more topics, and we're gonna let y'all Bama's up out of here, man.
Up out of here.
So, listen, Mark Sanchez. You knew we had to talk about it. You knew we were going to talk about it. So I'm not going to quote any articles or anything. I'm just going to tell y'all my perspective. And Eddie can jump in whenever he wants to jump in. But I see a post on Saturday, and it's like, oh, Mark Sanchez was stabbed and he's in the hospital. And yeah, like, I don't know if anybody ever mentioned prayers for Mark Sanchez or whatever, but it was like, dang, Mark Sanchez stabbed him in the hospital. That's crazy. You hope he's all right or whatever. So I'm trying not to laugh.
Mark is not right.
He
not by
the next article that comes out or the next story that I see is that Mark Sanchez is getting arrested for assault, Grand Theft Auto, or something. And I'm like,
attempted. No, it'd be Grand Theft Auto, then driving while intoxicated as well.
Yeah, intoxication, public intoxication. That was the other one. It's public intoxication. So I'm like, what? So it goes from that to the third thing I see. It says Mark Sanchez assaults an old man who was delivering food over a parking spot. And then I saw a couple of days ago that he's in charge of a felony. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then you just start to worry about him as a person. because, bro, you're a multimillionaire USC legend who has another lucrative career as an analyst on Fox Sports. It might not be millions and millions, but it's still an analyst on
It's a
Fox Sports.
job, and I'm sure they
Right.
pay him pretty good. Not to mention he gets to fly and go to every game and just sit and talk about
Right. So you really start worrying about him. Not only, I mean, you worry about the other person too, especially an elderly person that was attacked. That felt like he had to stab this man in order to protect himself. Oh, after being, he was pepper sprayed. He pepper sprayed Mark Sanchez first, and Sanchez kept attacking him to the point where he had to stab him to defend himself. So prayers out to him, and definitely prayers out to Sanchez too, who we are more familiar with. That's why we're talking about him in this situation. It's like, bruh, like, get it together.
Tell
Like,
me.
whatever's going on, whatever demons you have, you're wrestling with, struggling with. If this story or if this situation doesn't get you to like start to think better or start to do better, get in a rehab or something, bro, because that's not good, man. That was an awful, awful situation for him.
The crazy part is probably we're never going to get the full story of whatever this is. And if we ever did, it might not even be believable, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sure he probably was drunk, but something about this tells me that he was on some other stuff, like some pills, some kind of fentanyl, something about this tells me that he was like on some kind of like major bender of some kind. Because it just, none of it makes any
I don't
sense.
know about all that, but nah, hey,
But it's just not if
UFC
you look.
legend. I'm just say that.
Then to add to the humor, I don't know why, because he's in Indianapolis of all places. And I don't know where the guy lives, but in my mind, I'm like, there's no way he lives in Indianapolis. But I saw it, and it went across the thing, and it just said Fox 5 News, and I was like, oh, this is like, for whatever, I guess it's major news because this guy works for the news station in Fox 5. I thought it was like, Mark Sanchez, weather reporter or something. I didn't realize it was the football Mark Sanchez. Then I called Mike up. I'm like,
I
hey,
forgot about this.
well, you shared it. And I was like, all right. But it, like, again, maybe it's the way the article presented, because of like where it was from, is that like it wasn't a sports publication or something. Yeah, but just the whole thing is just so wild, and hopefully he figures it out, gets whatever, help he needs. But yeah, like, dude's about to potentially butt fumble his second career.
Oh
Is
yeah, his career is.
Yeah.
He may be able. It's a slight chance he may be able to rebound from this. Slight chance. Like
You know
people
what
have
messes
done
me up
worse.
is, like, a lot of the articles about, the post on Twitter and everywhere else, they had him in a Redskins uniform. They're like, hey, former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez caught doing this, this, and this. And it's like, what? Come on. Like, he played for a handful of teams, and he was most successful with the Jets. So he's showing with the Jets.
Hey, shout out to Jalen Hyatt. That man is cooking right now.
In the kitchen.
Time out real quick, bro. Like, it's lazy reporting or it's stupidity. I don't know, but I'm saying that because I saw a tweet earlier from FanDuel when I don't know if that was a catch. I saw a tweet from FanDuel where they listed the best returners of all time, and they had Hester first, which is cool. Like, I get it. They had Brian Mitchell second. That's not the problem. The problem is that they had Hester listed as a Bear, but had Mitchell listed as an Eagle.
Yeah, that was lame. It might have been
like,
before Hester broke the record, he had the record and he did it as an Eagle. That might be why they're doing it.
No, because they listed Cordell Patterson as a Viking.
Oh.
But listed Darren Sproul as an Eagle. And I'm like, no. Like,
that one either. Sproul should either be a Charger or a Saint.
Or a Saint. And that is, it's rage bait. I'm like, that's all I can think of it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with what you said about Sanchez. Who's going to generate more headlines? Former New York Jets quarterback Mark Sanchez or former Washington Redskin commander Mark
He
Sanchez?
played like a game and a half for us.
Right. But like I said, who's going to generate more headlines? When it comes to sensational journalism, Washington gets more eyes than New York, coincidentally.
Yeah.
But I digress. Like, it was a crazy, crazy story, and like we had to talk about it. There was no way that story wasn't going to get talked about on this particular show,
Yeah.
this particular week. And this is a fun segment to end the show with. I honestly haven't really thought it through yet, but Eddie was like, "What position would your parents play in football?" And he said, metaphorically speaking, not athletically
Yeah.
speaking. So
Let's
I'll let him take over from here.
let's be clear. A good majority of us, probably average size on some end, and to be a pro athlete, there's not a number of them, especially when you think of like the people of like O lineman is the example I gave to Mike, because your parents always want to protect you. They're always kind of trying to keep you clean. Some of those sort of metaphors that go hand in hand with football and just with life in general. But then maybe personality wise, maybe your dad's really tough and you get specific and you say, yeah, my dad's kind of like the center, like he hikes the ball and he makes sure we're moving down the field and things like that. Or, you say mom's the quarterback. It just depends, like when I saw this, the people answering the question, like one guy, said like his dad would be the punter. Um, I would love to have known why he said that. Maybe he knows his dad can punt the ball well, or maybe there's like a personality trait for some reason. So I just thought it was an interesting segment. I thought about this for a while, and for funsies, I always said that like my, the joke one is that my dad would be the starting quarterback and my mom's the backup. Um, but yeah, if I really had to do this, I would probably say that my dad would be like kind of like a used check, or for San Francisco, or like Richard for Baltimore. But sort of with like a twist, because he would kind of line up all over for him, be sort of like a fullback tight end kind of slash thing there. And then I'd kind of liken my mom to like a probably like a safety. Not necessarily like that they couldn't hit hard, but maybe like a more more intelligent, like a Eric Weddle kind of safety. Not that he can't hit hard, I'm sure he can, but a guy who is Harrison Smith. He's a little bit more known as a hard hitter, but
Why
he's
are you naming all the white safeties?
well. Listen to me, because most of the safeties that I like Sean Taylor and Ed Reed, guys like that, they hit too hard. My mom didn't. She could be mean, but she didn't have that like nastiness that they would have. So what I'm saying is like, not that she couldn't tackle, but her tackles would be different. She would be more in position.
This sounds.
Yeah.
This man's about to say Reed Dowdy next. I
No,
know
God,
he was.
no,
But
no.
no, I think you nailed it with the safety. I think all mothers are safety and safeties, and I think you might be right, bro. I think it is different types of safeties that um, moms can be. And I know I was joking, but I get what you're saying with the Eric
I mean,
Weddles and Harrison
be
Smith.
fair too, my mom and I are in fact white. I know this might come as a shocker to people.
Oh no, who knew? But no, I
Sometimes
was thinking safety for my mother too, and was thinking more on the lines of like, um, I'm not trying to be modest. I'm I'll say this: she really is like a goat mother. So I'm not saying like Eric, I'm not saying Ed Reed and Earl Thomas saying that like just because she's my mother, I'm comparing her to the greatest safeties of all time. You put up the numbers, young. She got 4 kids. All 4 went to college. All 4 graduated. Um, in the community, a pillar, an undercover pillar. Like it's like once she retired, she really became like a Southwest legend down James Creek. Like it's crazy. But yeah, like her numbers, they speak for themselves, and
So
I
like John
really feel
Lynch.
like, huh?
I said so
Yeah.
much John Lynch. I wanted to say
Um,
Bob Sanders, but as much as I like Bob Sanders, he was hurt too much. Like
I'm
that's
trying
not his
to.
fault, not a diss.
So I'm gonna bring it home a little bit,
Bring it
but
home, brother.
personally speaking, you can say that she's a Quan Martin archetype,
Okay.
where she's not boisterous and loud or whatever, but her impact is going to be felt, regardless if you know it's being felt or not. The people on the defense knows, like, oh yeah, Quan Martin's that man, and the people that know my mother are like, oh yeah, Murray's a beast. And like I promise I'm not. I promise I'm not saying that because she's my mom or whatever. But I'm just saying it because like I got the stats to back it up, and like I'm not gassing y'all up just because that's my folks. Like it's it's the real deal. Now, as far as my father, yo, I was thinking as you were talking, I really think physically, metaphorically, or whatever, defensive end, just pure aggression, pure attack. But there's a bit of finesse with that strength and that power and meekness and humility with that power that I feel like he has or had. Rest in peace, big man. Um, yeah, like I think defensive lineman, not for not physically too, because he was the man was as big as me, but not big like me. Like definitely more stocky and like solid, like really solid, like complete body type opposite of me, like where I'm big and soft and cushy and all that.
Yeah, I had
But
thought.
yeah, he was a rock for
Sorry.
real. Nah, you're good.
Yeah, I kind of toyed with the idea of dad being a Mike linebacker. You know, they both play on defense. And not that my dad, you know, he definitely had a little bit of a mean streak to him. He kept it together well though, because I think he knew if he let it go, he might really mess me or my brother up. Um, but yeah, it was sort of a back and forth. I was thinking like linebacker DN for dad, but you know, he had a little bit of jack of all trades thing, so that's why I kind of put him in that sort of fullback, scat back, tight end kind of thing. You know, you move him around on the line of scrimmage, throw him the ball occasionally, you know, that kind of stuff. So it just seemed more fitting. And
Yeah,
I just like the topic all around. I feel like you guys could all have fun with it. You know, whatever position you come up with, I'm sure there could be some interesting ones. You know, you say like your parents are wide receiver if they have good feet, you know, or good hands, obviously. Um, yeah.
no, I'm with it. I feel like, metaphorically speaking, a defense that has our two moms as safety, my father as a defensive end, and your father a middle linebacker. That's 4 nice pieces to have, and
85
it,
Bears, 2000 Ravens better watch out.
and it produced. I'd say it produced some good people on this earth, man. Shout out the Pickerings and the Pious, man, for real. Like they did the thing. I ain't gonna lie.
P squared.
Yeah, shout out to all 4 of them for real. And that's it, man. It was a good show. Kept y'all a little bit longer than I wanted to, but we got a lot of stuff, and I really feel like this is one of our better shows in a minute. So if you made it this far, you were rewarded with a good show from Eddie and Mike, and I appreciate it. And as we're ending, the Giants just dropped a touchdown. The one I just shout out, Hyatt, he dropped it, so that's an ill for him. But it was a holding on the Eagles, so the Giants about to get the ball back first and goal in the red zone. It looks like they're going to take care of Philly, so we'll definitely talk about that next week, and hopefully talk about a Washington win over Chicago. Hit us up on social media, hit us up on our text or whatever. Let us know how we're doing. And
take it easy.
Peace out, y'all. Be safe.